Hi viewers, so I just got back home from my trip to both Savers locations, and one of the more notable things that I picked up was this 5-inch Samsung CRT TV with a built-in AM/FM radio. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. There's the Samsung logo, and I got this for $25.49, which is pretty decent. Radio tuning knob. There's a switch between AM, FM, and FM AFC, which I've never heard of before. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the TV itself. Seems to be in pretty nice condition. We got the radio band up here, and then the switch between off TV and radio, and then the dials for VHF and UHF TV stations. And then we got the volume slider here at the bottom. Then let's go ahead and check out the underside of this CRT. We can see it's a Samsung model number BT-123AJ, manufactured September 1983. So that means that it's almost 33 years old, which is pretty impressive. And then we can see battery compartment. See if I can get this thing to slide out. Oh well, it isn't that important anyway. But let's take a look at one of the side views so we can see horizontal hold, vertical height and vertical hold, brightness and contrast, and headphone jack. 4 dials, which is pretty nice. Here's the back. Nothing really special about it except for the antenna, which is still fully intact and still fully extends. But moving on, here's the other side of this Samsung CRT. And then we can see VHF, FM, a switch between internal and external either connections or plugs. Probably switch between battery power and external power cord. And then UHF right here, and then we have an AC port and a DC port. Now, the label on the bottom says that it takes DC 12 volts, and I have plenty of DC 12 volt cables luckily, so it should be able to fit that port. But without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to our next item. Alright, so our next item is the first thing that I picked up at the other Savers location, the first one that I went to. It's a Brother branded label maker. It's a P-Touch Extra, and as you can see, there's a full keyboard here with letters, numbers, and symbols. There's the on and off button, and there's print, feed, format, local format, auto formats, and then code. And we got arrow keys, which is really nice. And then here at the top left, it says electronic labeling system. And then we got what looks like a label cutter here. So what I presume happens is the label comes through here, and then you can cut it off like that, and it just slices the paper. Pretty cool. Let's look at the bottom side. You can see the model number, Brother model PT-520. Caution, only use AA size LR6 battery. And then we can see this little handle that sort of pops out. Popped out just fine. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's like a little carrying handle for this thing. Pop it back in, and then here's the battery compartments. We can see 6 very corroded AA Energizer batteries. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. So one of the next things that I picked up at Savers was this retro looking keyboard. It has all the keys on it, including the retro Windows logo. Pretty nice. Then we have power off, sleep, and wake up. Wake up! And then on the bottom here, we have the model number, BTC model number 5121W. Input 5 volts, and then the keyboard also has I thought these would pop out, but I guess not. Unfortunately, it isn't USB. It has a PS2 connector, so I won't be able to use it with my PC, but I still think it's really cool. Let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so another thing that I picked up at Savers was this really cool looking retro Holmes fan. Now, as you can see, it's got this purple knob which goes from off to high and then low. And then the stand makes the fan tilt back and forth. Pretty cool. We have an AC plug in the back here, $8.99, which was not the best price, but still reasonable. And then you might be able to read the back label here. If I turn it right side up, you can see it's model HANF-95. Now, as I had learned, HANF most likely stands for Holmes Air Novelty Fan, because it serves more as kind of a decoration piece rather than being functional like some of the other fan models are. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so another thing that I picked up at one of the Savers locations was this Holmes oscillating fan. Now, unlike the other one, this one is in its original box. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have any of the original packing materials or the instruction manual or anything like that, but it still has the original box, which is really cool. Oscillating table fan, multi-directional oscillation, cools larger areas faster and more efficiently. Adjustable tilt fan head, still pretty cool. And we look on the other side, it says basically the same thing. And then if we look down here at the bottom left corner, it says HAOF 85B, which is interesting. It's not just an HAOF 85, it's an HAOF 85B. Copyright 2007, Sunbeam Products Incorporated. So it's not exactly vintage, but it will be soon. Within like 6 months or so. 6 or 7 months. But getting that out of the way, let's go ahead and open this thing up. Let's see what this says. Holmes for all your home comfort needs. Humidifiers, air purifiers, fans, heaters, filters, and accessories. Now the actual fan is really dusty. But like I said, at least it's actually in here. Pretty cool looking. Oh, it does have the owner's guide. That is nice, and it has bits and pieces of the styrofoam inside of there, so that's really cool. We have the owner's manual. Nice. So looking at the sticker on the right side or left side of the fan, depending on how you look at it, there's this sticker with what appears to be the date code, November of 2007, or the 11th week of 2007. That's what I presume it to say. But yeah, this is really nice, actually. So here's what the inside of the owner's guide looks like. And we can see a diagram of the fan, different parts of the fan. You can see A is the fan head, B is the motor housing, not visible of course, C is the bottom screw, also not visible in this diagram at least, and then D is the fan base, and E is the tilt adjustment knob. Pretty nice. And then if we look at this part of the page here, we can see cleaning / maintenance instructions for the fan, which is perfect because the actual fan here is dusty. So I might need to clean it before actually using it, long term anyway. But yeah, this is really nice. So this is another thing that I picked up at Savers. This dark green Sony landline phone, which I thought was really unique. Pick it up, of course. And then we have the model number on here, telephone IT-B3. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, star and pound, or the hashtag symbol rather. Kind of dusty. And then we have this cord to plug it in. If we get it in the right light, we can see the back label, which is kind of engraved into the phone itself. Sony telephone model number IT-B3. Pretty cool. Let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so for these next several purchases, I'm just basically gonna kind of power right through them. Scepter remote. DirecTV remote. Sanyo remote. Another DirecTV remote. Another DirecTV remote. We have Apex Digital remote. Sony remote. And this giant roll of arcade tickets. Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and move on. Oh yes, and really quickly, I forgot to mention this General Electric Universal remote that still has a Duracell battery inside. Now let's go ahead and move on. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that was pretty much everything, so enjoy the slideshow. Viewers, I'm sorry I keep forgetting to address certain things, like the fact that we have to test some of these things. So let's go ahead, and I made sure that this TV takes DC 12 volts, and I made sure that this is a DC 12 volt plug. So let's go ahead and plug it in, and then turn it on. Either it's not working or I'm using the wrong kind of adapter. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but without further ado, let's go ahead and move on. Alright, let's go ahead and plug in the HAOF 85. and then turn it on. Very concerning noise that's coming from this fan, but nothing caught fire, so I consider it a success. Alright, let's try out the Holmes HANF 85, or 95 rather. So right off the bat, it is very loud, but it seems to work pretty well. Nice.